Hey guys, it's Archie Luxury, Saturday Night Live. Come on the channel, let's talk watches. How are you today, guys? I'm posting the link. Let's get the people on now. Come on. We had Rolex. We had a very good chat to Jeff yesterday. What a cool collection. Nice guy from Melbourne. Some lovely pieces. Hey Marco, how are you, man?
Hey man.
What a nice story with Jeff. Did you see that? That was great to chat to him yesterday.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
What a nice collection. What do you think? That's
Beautiful. He had what, 5 Rolex? 5 pieces?
5, because he had the two-tone Submariner black dial, two-tone Yachtmaster rose gold and steel black dial. He had the no date. He had the date just with the diamond blue dial,
yeah,
fluted bezel and jubilee. And the 5th thing he had, what else did he have? The Batman, the Batgirl, the Batgirl,
yeah.
The Batgirl. What an amazing collection. And I gotta tell you, Marco, I've been thinking, how many's enough?
This is what I was telling you. I think 5 watches is perfect.
Brian BK, how are you, Brian?
Hey Arch, how's it going, man?
Brian, how's it going?
Man, we're just chatting. We're just chatting. How many is enough? What's the good size to have in a collection? And I gotta tell you, I've been really thinking about this. In my case, I want to keep 5 Pateks. I want to keep one of my 5. I want to keep my Reverso. I want to get a Steel Sports Rolex. And maybe an Omega. That's it.
Can I tell you mine?
Yeah, tell me.
Okay. I have my PAM. I want to get an Explorer 1.
Yeah.
And then I want to get maybe some kind of chronograph, maybe a moon watch, something like that.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
I want to get, because I like time-only watches, right? I don't like dates or anything like that. So I want to get maybe a Vacheron Patrimony in rose gold. That's very good value, I feel. Or maybe a Patek. We'll see. That's my goal. What do you think,
Brian,
Tom?
how many watches? You got quite a few, haven't you?
Yeah, I got 6 at the moment. You know,
What do you got, man? What do you got?
I got a no date sub. I got a Pepsi.
No date sub.
I got a Milgauss. I got a two-tone bluesy. I have a green Daytona, yellow gold, and a beautiful, beautiful Nomos World Timer.
Yeah.
Hey, Plastic Water Pump. How are you, Plastic?
Hey, partners. How you going, fellas?
Hey, we're great.
Plastic.
We're just talking about watches here. How many's a good number? I got to tell you, I got a mate of mine. I love him.
5 Steel Stunners.
5. I got a good mate of mine. He's got about 20 to 30, okay?
Is that Dave?
Yeah. And I got to be totally honest with you. He kind of flips them a lot more. Look, I'm not... Look, he's got a great collection. I love them, right? But I kind of think myself... 5... Well, somewhere between 3 and 10 is the perfect number. If you have too many... I don't find I enjoy them as much.
You don't have time to enjoy them. You have one wrist that you wear them on, right? So maybe
That's
one or
exactly.
2 grail pieces, and then
You got
3
2
everyday
wrists, though,
watches.
right, Marco?
I'm sorry?
You have 2 wrists, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, unless you're jingly jangly jubilee, jingly jangly jubilee man, where you wear a Casio F91W on the other wrist, then nah, one watch.
One watch. I gotta tell you, it's really fascinating. It's really fascinating to see how many is enough. Now, I gotta tell you the truth. We had that guy on yesterday, Jeff. I think he had 5. I think how many do you need? 5 to 7 is fine.
Super chat.
Here we go. Rooted Rotor. Thank you, Rooted Rotor. We need some super chats. Rooted Rotor, $2. Tested COVID positive today, AC. Doing well, though. Rooted Raider, you'll be fine.
We wish you well.
99.99% of people come through fine. And Jaden V, $5. P, that plastic water pump equals ratings. Cheers, Pontiff. Thank you. And
Thanks, Jaden.
I believe... Thank you. James just sent me photos of the new Omega that's coming out. That's the
Cheers,
new...
guys. I'm doing coke as we speak.
Hey, Cola, look at that there, man. That's okay. I gotta tell you, perfect number of watches. Can you have too many, guys? What do you think?
Yeah, I think at a certain point it just becomes an investment portfolio of watches, no?
I was with some collectors today, and a guy picked up a platinum moon watch with meteorite subdials, beautiful piece, and he's in the process of consolidating his 156-piece collection. And he said that just the clutter of picking up so much over 30 years of collecting is just giving him mental illness. It's too much for him at this point. He's hoarding.
Yeah, you got those guys, right? You got those guys who buy heaps of garbage, right? And they go to funeral homes and they take them off wrists and stuff like that, and they stick them in the bottom drawer, and then they try to spruik them on YouTube and act like they're the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, what's that all about?
Yep. Format, all this garbage. Yema is the new brand. Yema, Dan Henry, all those shitters.
Yeah, there's no point. It's quality. It's always. I mean, I think you're better off to be one and done. If you one and done is better off than mediocrity. This is the whole thing.
I mean, running around funeral homes looking for cheap watches. That's not the way to live your life, man.
No, I totally get it. There, it's
digging up dead bodies and stuff like that, and just exhuming corpses for their wristwatches. That's not a way to live your life.
No, it takes a toll on your mental health.
I totally get it. I got to tell you, you saw the collection yesterday, Plastic. Did you see the collection? 5 watches Glenn had.
Jeff
Jeff
watched
had.
it back. That was I was asking a lot of questions during the stream because I didn't have any visuals, so I wasn't sure what the dial colors were. But when I watched it back, mate, that junior cheeseburger, that sub with the black face, that's a beautiful watch. I mean, everyone talks about the blues. I've got a bluesy with the black dial with the gold. That's just gorgeous, man. That's beautiful.
It is, and he also had the two-tone Yachtmaster steel and rose gold.
That one I would have only gone for in a blue dial, to be honest. The blue dial, and that's my favourite in the Yachtmaster.
And we got Jeff. Jeff's just joined us on the stream. Hey, Jeff, how are you? Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Jeff's there.
Gents, how are you?
Jeff, we were just chatting about your collection there. Yankee Doodle, $5. Yankee Doodle, $5. I currently have a 3-watch Hungerbuster sub, Rolex sub date. That's the pre-ceramic, 16610. VC Patrimony small seconds white gold, and a Beta Omega Seamaster blue ceramic wave dial.
Beautiful.
Good little collection there. Jeff, we all loved your collection.
Thank you.
Hey Jeff, what's that behind you? Mercedes-Benz models behind you.
Oh, there's some model cars, yeah.
So I can see the Gullwing, the Roadster, the Mercedes 300 SL.
That's
you got a Pagoda?
No, just one Benz. Yeah.
No, these models behind you.
Yeah, there's only one Benz there, Arch. Yeah.
Oh, okay. The other ones are Holdens, are they?
Yeah, Falcons and etc.
They're quite valuable now. That you wouldn't believe how expensive they are.
The good ones, yes, exactly. Yeah, and they're collectible a little bit, and just a bit of fun.
Here we go, showcase watches here, showcase watches. We've got $5 in. What do you think about the new Speedy Arch dot over 90, changed case back writing, now applied logo, 3861 coaxial escapement, beautiful watch. I gotta tell you, I think it's more of just a few little tweaks.
It's a cash grab.
What gets me angry is it doesn't say first man in space. First person in space. What the hell is this stuff? It's gone so PC, I gotta tell you,
Omega is Boring.
I got to be honest with you. By the way, guys, I heard word on my sub date. It's going to cost me. It's been nabbed with taxes and duties. 15 Aussie landed. Ooh. That's what it's going to cost me. 15 Aussie, which is still very, very reasonable. That's not a problem.
Hey, you're saving $5 grand, Pine, if you have to. If you have to pay the piper,
it got double taxed. It got taxed overseas, and then it got taxed coming in. I mean, don't you love this double dipping?
Double fisting.
Double dipping. You know, none of this. It's just ridiculous.
You got to pay the piper. You got to pay the piper.
It's going to cost me 15, Andy. What do you reckon? I've already told them deal.
Can you take that overseas when? Yeah,
no, you can't.
What I'm saying is when the borders open up, can you do a quick flight? Okay. Mate, you got to pay the piper. You got to pay the piper. You got to pay the piper.
Super chat. We got a super chat. Rooted Rotor, $2. I won a 1016 my Grail. Too big of an ask.
Too small.
Look, it's a great watch, but you know what? It is a good watch. I had one for many years. Do I miss it? I probably, you know, I got to tell you, the thing is this, I love my Pateks. I really do love my Pateks. So, do I miss it? Yeah, I do miss it, but it's not harping on me. You know what I mean? That was so long ago. Like my half-life, you got to look at it this way.
You need to be a dwarf to enjoy the 1016. It's only 36 mil.
Yeah, I actually missed my day date. I had a diamond dial day date, 18238. Hey, Jeff, you know, yes. I bought my day date from the guy who was the son of, he made the poker machines. Aristocrat Leisure. You know, Aristocrat. He was an Ainsworth. I bought it from an Ainsworth.
Lovely.
Right?
Yeah.
And they made their money with the poker machines. I got to tell you, here we go. Showcase watches, £2. This is the Snowflake Speedmaster. Human on back. First human in space. Yes.
Can I be honest?
I gotta tell you, man. I still would like to get. I'd like to get an Omega. I still think an Omega Speedmaster is a great watch.
I think the only one worth getting is the Sapphire Sandwich because it has the sapphire case back. You can actually see the movement.
Would you get an Omega, Jeff?
Yeah, I think I'd just get the Hesselite basic, you know.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's a great watch.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to. Yeah. I tend to agree. I think an Omega. Tell me this, Jeff. You're an Aussie. Omega's always had a good reputation in Australia, don't you think?
Oh, they have. You're exactly right. There's been often the Omega people and the Rolex people, and sometimes they cross over. But have got a very good reputation. So, as they should, they build a fine piece.
Tell me this, Jeff. Have you, in your career there, have you been a wristwatch watcher? Do you remember watches as a young man in the industry, or do you?
No, not sort of the Rolex or Omega ilk, you know, sort of the basic stuff. And as you grow up, you sort of learn more, and you start following the pontiff, and then you start to learn a lot. So,
do you see many watches in the wild? Do you see many in the wild there?
Oh, I think there's a lot more Rolex Submariners now than there used to be. Seems to be. I think popularity of watches has gone up in recent times.
Okay.
That's my feeling. I do see more in the wild. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just taking notice now.
Let me ask you something, Jeff. In the old days, like we're talking 1980s, a Mercedes-Benz 190E, you know that was the cheap Mercedes. When they came out in 1984, they were $74,000.
It's amazing. Yeah.
That was the cheapest Mercedes. Do you think Mercedes has gone too mainstream?
Yeah, I think they probably had to. And what they're doing, they're appealing to a different audience now. People that were never Mercedes buyers are now Mercedes buyers. And they've had to do that to some degree. But do I think the cars are any better? Probably not. I think the old
Plastic.
Benzes lasted, you'd buy them and they'd do 300,000 Ks,
Yeah, nowadays one of the computers will shit itself by then,
Correct.
So
Or the plastic water pump. Yeah.
I think they've all gone that way, haven't they?
I think so, yeah.
Did you have many Mercedes, Jeff?
Yeah, I've had a couple, the C classes, and I had a CLK at one stage, so yeah, nothing too special.
I love the CLK. What happened to the CLK?
Just sold it. Probably one of the best cars I had.
What model CLK did you have?
Was a CLK 280, so the 6-cylinder.
Oh, I love the sweet spot. That was the 6-cylinder, non-turbo. That was a nice engine, that.
Correct, yeah.
Did you get the run-out special, $99,000 run-out special on that?
No, I didn't. No, I bought it before that.
Okay. You had what color was your 280?
Black.
And you sold that?
Yep. Look, you do silly things. Anyway.
Okay. Well, it's getting a bit long in the tooth.
Yeah,
so what did you
right.
start with? What was your first Benz you started with?
A C180 compressor.
Nice. Okay, I know the one. That's a W203 you probably
203.
had.
Yeah.
And then you sold that and you got the...
CLK.
The CLK, that's an E-Class. That's what an E-Class coupe is.
That's right. Yeah.
They were an amazing car.
Yeah.
And then you sold that and got the AM. You happy with the one you got now?
Yeah, I don't do many miles. It's a bit of fun, Arch,
Yeah.
A lot of noise. And, up to 60 kilometres an hour, it goes pretty well.
Yes. Watches. Tell me this. In the wristwatch game there, you see a lot more watches around?
Yeah, I do. I don't know whether it's everyone else on the channel does, but maybe I'm just taking notice on what people have got on their wrists. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I find I have as well. I look twice nowadays, but
you look at their wrist before their eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, but going to university, you don't see many watches around. I'm being honest. It's only the rich kids. They'll wear their Rolexes. They'll have like subs, and
I got to tell you, it's very fascinating. It's interesting. Like watches, it's a great leveler. I went out for a walk yesterday. Here we go. Philip McCraig, 2 pounds. Have Sea Dweller 43 two-tone. Is it silly to want stainless steel version for daily?
We told him not to get the two-tone.
No, I think the two-tone's a great watch. He's got the Sea Dweller. They're a big watch, 43 mil. Yeah. I would prefer to have the two-tones that you've got, Jeff. I think they're probably they're beautiful. But is it? I would say no. Grab it if you love it. Grab it, Philip. Grab it. They're actually a great watch.
Any steel sports Rolex, you grab it. Yeah,
and they're not that impossible to get there. But
yeah,
I got to tell you, I was talking to some dealers yesterday in Australia. You'd look around the vintage shops. I was talking to a dealer, Ronnie, from Vintage Watch Co. He said he hasn't been offered a Submariner in a couple of weeks. Normally, as a vintage dealer, he'd always be offered, hey, I want to sell my sub. No, people seem to be hoarding them. They're not selling them.
You think dealers are hoarding watches right now?
No, I think dealers are trying to... A lot of dealers, he said to me, he can't afford to hold a lot of stock. He's got to... As soon as it comes in, he puts it in the window. It's Christmas time. Hey, this is what they pay the big rent for, is to sell this stuff, not to keep it in the cupboard. But there is very little sports stuff around. Jeff, I'm going to go to Melbourne tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, what would you suggest I do? Okay, I've never bought, besides my first Rolex, which I bought in 1990. That's 30 years ago. I haven't had any experience buying new. What do? I walk into the Rolex AD. I've got my credit card paid out. What do I say? Excuse me.
Wait, make sure to bring the picture of your watch collection, of your 5 Pateks.
Okay. What should I do, Jeff? What do I do? What do I say, Jeff? Tell me. Give me some pointers.
Well, you know, Arch. I mean, you just got to build a rapport, and they might even know you. I mean, if they're people that have watched YouTube,
excuse me, I'm looking if you've got any Milgauss Explorer ones, no date subs.
I don't know. I don't like your chances though of picking one over the counter.
Yeah, less than zero.
You know the Hourglass in Collins Street.
Yes.
They've moved across the road into a new boutique. So yeah.
Wow. Yes. I remember they were doing that. I was there last year. That's right. Yep. You're right. You're right. So they've moved across.
Yep.
What do I say? Excuse me. I'm looking for Rolex Steel Sports.
Please.
I'm here to buy.
Yeah, I know exactly. Well, see what they say. They never know. They might. I've heard stories where people have registered interest and they get something pretty quickly, but maybe not on the same day. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for you, Arch.
Yeah. Could you make a phone call for me, Jeff?
I don't know anyone there. The only people I know are at Kennedy's. And
you're Kennedy. I'm happy to jump in a taxi and go to the casino. That's fine.
I could let them know that you're in town and you might drop in. So
just say, hey Jeff, good mate Jeff, you got some Steel Sports, bring him out. I gotta tell you, right. Jeff,
from the back room.
It is I gotta tell you, Jeff, I was talking, your collections really impressed me, and I gotta say, I think you got the numbers. How many pieces do you really? I got to tell you, I think you got the perfect numbers. How many do you want? If you have too many, I got a friend of mine's got 20 to 30, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think, I want to say this to you, I'd never say this to his face, I don't think he loves them the same way I love them.
Yeah.
Here we go, Johnny Rotten, $2. Don't bait Jeff. You'll pay for lunch. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Jeff, I gotta say to you, man, it really gets me. How many is the perfect number?
Yep.
And I tend to think, in my case, I got my 5 Pateks. That's my dressy watches. I got more than enough. I got too many, right? That's enough. I've got 1 Reverso in steel. I would love to get my sub date. By the way, the guys told me it's got nabbed by customs, 15,000 Aussie for a date sub, which I said to him, hey man, that's fine, no problems, I will take it. He's going to deliver it to me. He's got a stopover in Brisbane at the end of this month, just before Christmas. So I should hopefully, if everything goes well. The thing is, Jeff, I think, honestly, I think a good number to have. You've pretty well got it. You 1 or 2 more pieces, that's about it.
I don't think there's a set number. I think it really depends on the person. Some people.
But I mean, do you need 20? Do you need 20?
Probably not. No, exactly. I think that's drawing the line. I would have thought for most people.
It becomes a watch investment portfolio. That at that point it's just too big.
Unless you producer Michael or someone like that.
The problem is, Jeff. What do you do? What do you do, Jeff? At the moment, right? You've got your house mostly paid off, besides the HELOC. Do you put money into property investments? Well, it's very volatile at the moment. I mean, besides needing a place to stay, I do think, well, interest rates are low, but I think you need a place to stay and maybe 1 investment. But do you have 5? You sort of think, okay, I've got enough in real estate. Okay, you step back. It's not the time to be you just hold back. Share market, extremely volatile at the moment. Really volatile. You put money in cash, interest rates are less than 1%. Can you believe that? Less than 1%?
Yeah.
But pawn it. Even if you want to buy watches, you're buying at the top of the market as well.
If you can get them at retail, you're laughing.
Easier said than done. I mean,
very easier said than done. It's impossible.
And look, he's still waiting for a Panda. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And granted, it's the hottest watch on the market, arguably, besides the Nautilus and the Royal Oak. But
it is.
So, Arch, do you think Do
Yes.
you think the demand for Submariners at the moment is brought about by the new release Submariner, and it's made the older ones perhaps more, people hanging on to them more? Do you think that's the case?
Look, I think what's happened is production has gone down through COVID. The Swiss, they've closed factories, they've reduced production. The reality is, stock is not going through as fast as it was in the past. Like, I know somebody on my show, I had the new Kermit. I featured the new Kermit. And I got to tell you, the dealer said he gets 1 or 2 of these. I mean, the dealer should be getting 20 Kermits. So I really think what's happening is Rolex is limiting supply of these pieces. And what's happening is the dealers, I think they have them in the back room. If you buy enough other garbage, right, they will.
They keep it in the back as an incentive. Yeah,
I think they do have things in the back.
But Connor, what are the COVID numbers in Switzerland? Is that what's limiting production? Because I doubt Rolex is withholding how many watches they're making, right?
I think to be honest with you, what's happened is this Rolex itself there, they are underpriced. Normally in an economic system, supply and demand. If there's huge demand, you put the price up to level it out, right? Like I mean, if everyone wants a Mercedes-Benz, right? If they made a Mercedes-Benz 150,000, well, suddenly the demand for Mercedes-Benz, it falls because it's supply and demand. Rolex, because they're a charitable trust, they can't just increase their prices. They have put prices up, but they can't just double the price of their stuff. And that's what they need to do. A Panda should really be 30,000 Aussie dollars. That's what it should be, right?
For steel?
Yep, this is what it should be, right? Aussie dollars, Aussie. So it's about 22,000 US.
But what kind of margins would they be making, Connor?
No, but the problem is, that's what the supply and demand is, right? They should be higher. Now, the problem is, they can't do that because of an anomaly of how Rolex is run. Now, the thing is, what's happened is, I tell you, Jeff, you know what I think the problem is? You know why there's a problem? I think it's because of China.
Yeah.
China didn't exist in the 80s. They were all communist rice farmers. They could barely put a iPhone. They could barely put a BlackBerry together. You know, they had very. There's still most people in China are poor, but the thing is, you have so many people now. Tell me this: why do you think the real estate market in Australia is? These are unheard of levels. A house in Melbourne, a nice middle class suburb, a million. What do you think? How much are you looking at, Jeff, in Melbourne?
Well, the median house price is about 860,000, but that's the whole of Melbourne. But if you go into some suburbs, it's $1 million, $1.5 million. And
what's a nice middle class? I'm not talking Toorak. I'm just talking nice middle class.
Oh, you'd probably be paying around $1 million.
$1 million for a three. That's a 3-bed,
3-bedroom house. Yep. In a lot of cases,
basic 3.
But that's
not luxury.
In Canada too, we're looking at 600,000 to 800,000.
Yeah.
Canadian. Yes. So it's very similar. It's just the fair market value of housing nowadays. I think so.
And it's what drives the watch market. What drives everything is supply and demand.
Yeah.
So the demand in Melbourne and Sydney has been excessive for property. The demand for Rolex is out of this world. Yeah.
Stan the man, $2. Rolex is like government COVID money, hard to get.
Oh, that's another thing, right? In Canada, we got the CERB, right, which was $2,000 a month. So people have, I guess, more disposable income.
Yeah, I agree. In Australia, Jeff, can you understand this? Why is it we are in? I don't know. You're not a dumb man, Jeff. You drive a Benz. You got multiple Rolex. So let's assume you're actually clever. What the hell is happening here? We got people. Harvey Norman's had the best quarter. You want to buy a new car? There's no disc. Mercedes-Benzes are all sold. BMW record sales. What the hell is happening?
Super chat.
Scott Allbrand, $5. Went to my AD a couple of days ago. No Rolex Sports. That's right. They are running out of date. That's right. crazy. Wow, crazy. That's 100% right.
Yep.
100% right.
It's all what, two-tone day just now, and then
No, even just running out of that, you're looking at
empty cupboard.
smaller 36 mil solid gold.
Two-tone ladies. Yeah.
It's just
empty cupboards.
empty. Jeff, what is it, Jeff? Do you think we're headed for a recession, or you have no idea?
I don't think so. Certainly not in Australia. I think we've bounced back out of COVID. The demand for most things is still strong. I think the economy's bouncing back. Yeah, sure, we've got a lot of debt, but so is everybody else. So
yeah,
people are still spending money. And,
but may I ask, what's your unemployment in Australia right now? What's the unemployment about?
Well, actually, this is the whole thing. The official figure. Look. I don't know if Jeff, do you ever look at the Roy Morgan unemployment figure?
Now and then, yeah.
I reckon that's a much more
what are they saying?
Accurate. They're saying about 20.
Yeah.
Because it might just be a bubble. We might just be in the middle of a bubble.
Well, at the peak, Morgan Gallup said we're employment and underemployment. So, because the figures are bullshitty, they're very rubbery. They were saying 27% and I reckon that is right. 27%
in Australia.
Yeah, that was before. Now it's down to about high teens. But they're saying the official unemployment rate is 7 or 8%, I think, isn't it now? That's the official.
Apparently.
And what's your natural unemployment levels? What's it usually about?
Look, look, the problem is these figures are not accurate,
figures,
The problem is, Jeff, if you're probably too rich to even get unemployment. If you lost your job, Jeff, what would you do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's means tested, so they kind of it's kind of all bullshitty. But I got to tell you, Rolex itself, I got to tell you, this is just ridiculous. What has happened with Rolex is crazy. The other thing is, it's flowing through to other watches. It's not just. These Omega, we were barfing Omega, the anti-Omega sentiment. Well, hang on a minute. You try buying a Speedmaster. I was actually looking around for one. Dealers don't have heaps of second-hand Speedies. They're not so easy to get. Even things like Breitling, Super Ocean, Heritages, they're few and far between.
But Chrono 24, there's a bunch of First Omega in space, moon watches. There's so much. There's an abundance. I was watching Bear Clooney's video. He's saying that the prices of the Speedmaster with the 1861 movement were going to increase, but I don't think so. They made so many watches that.
But they made so many Rolexes. Do you know how many Rolex was making 1 million of these damn things?
But the demand for Omega is not the same as Rolex.
Do you think this, Jeff? People used to collect stamps. Stamps are not hot like they used to be, right? Some stamps are worth a fortune, but that's not like a hobby. Antiques used to be very valuable. Do you think watches is just a passing fad, or what's your view?
I don't know. I think personally, no. I don't think it is. I think in 5 and 10 years' time, there'll always be collectors and people with interested in watches. That it's going to go on for beyond our lifetime. So I don't think we're going through this just short-term fad at all. I think there's no letting up. I think while the demand is still there and the supply is restricted by the manufacturers, I think we're always going to have this situation.
And Ponif, don't forget, people are richer today than they ever were in history. Right?
This is the richest time,
Yeah. There's also a greater schism, though. There's a greater schism between classes at this moment as well. That's important to consider.
Yeah, of course. There's a greater.
Yeah, that's a very good point. There's never been more slavery in the world than now.
Yeah.
Hey, Arch, can I hit you with a hypothetical thought exercise?
Yes.
So you were saying before around, if we took fair market value of a Rolex on the gray market, and if Rolex wasn't protected by these charitable trust, regulatory bodies, let's say we do put Panda at like 33K, right? That's the retail.
Yeah.
Say charitable trust aside, what do you think happens to the gray market in that moment? It collapses. Do you think that how does it react?
Look, the grey market itself there, I think the grey market is very important to push the original market. If you don't have a grey market, or that brand is soft in the grey market, you can kiss the first market goodbye, because you've got to be able to dispose of these things. You look at things like Pam, and they never really cared. Rolex doesn't really care about the grey market. They hate the grey market. They think it's unfair that somebody could make money off them. Why aren't they making it? They're very greedy. Don't worry about that. They're Swiss. Very, very greedy. But I got to tell you, say you did increase the prices, well, it's supply and demand. There's not unlimited money. Philip McCrite, £2. Rolex, good as cash. Ask police who raid drug dens. There you go. And showcase watches, £5. A true enthusiast appreciates the full picture. Only a Rolex fanboy thinks Rolex is top dog. Rolex and Omega, very similar quality. One soft, one not.
Very true.
Yeah, I got to tell you.
Branding. That's branding. A
lot of people I know, if they couldn't get a Rolex, they bought an Omega. That was always what they did. You know, if you couldn't afford a Mercedes, you bought a BMW. You know, it's kind of, I think Omega itself, I love some of their Planet Oceans, but they just didn't seem to stick as good as Rolex did. Rolex, I think Omega's a great brand. I really do. I think there's some great bang per buck there.
And I think what people were doing, they were going into a Rolex boutique. They can't get what they want, and they go into the Omega boutique and say, oh, well, this is cheaper and I can get one. But now what's changed is the Omega boutiques don't have the stock that they had 12 months ago. So
the Omega boutiques, they actually, I was talking to a guy at a Tag Heuer boutique. He said he's never had it this good. It's had massive sales.
Yeah.
Everything is selling. So I got to be honest with you.
Do you think the election in the United States has anything to do with it? The fact that the presidency is changing hands?
No.
Because usually things before it changes hands are pretty stable, and then
Yeah, I don't think as much as I'm a huge Trump supporter, I think, to be honest with you, I think his time is up. He really should be making exit plans and say, okay, let's get out.
But he's already declared that he lost, didn't he?
Sort of,
yeah.
Yeah.
But to your original question, Marco, this stuff is cyclical.
Super chat.
Now, here we go. Alumni Quad. I haven't seen him for ages. Where can I find stylishly designed Archieluxury t-shirts to gift to my extended family, friends, and co-workers for the holidays? Yes, it's look down in the description of the vid. There used to be links, but I'll have a look. I'll come back to you, Ali. Alumni Quad, I'll come back to you. Yes, indeed.
So, Arch, when you're in Melbourne, you're going to do another video outside Panerai and IWC.
We'll see what we can get away with. Yes, they were good old vids, weren't
Panerai, Junk Bond.
And we want the old
bags.
Tell me the go. What's the go? Do you have to have the mask if you walk around outside, Jeff? What's the go?
If you're walking along the footpath, you don't need it. But when you walk into a boutique, you'll have to put one on.
Do they give you a mask on entry?
Most places don't. They can refuse you entry unless you've got your own.
Super chat.
Oh, I see. Mr. Grand, $5.99, £2. Fad-proof asset. Can I get first edition Lux to last? Thank you.
Honest, can I ask you a question?
Sure, man.
Speaking of merchandising, why didn't you ever get into the watch dealer business? You know, like Theo and Harris, all those guys.
I tell you why. Okay, I've
always been curious.
I've been on the peripheral. Okay, I do occasionally sell a piece because I want to buy something else, right? But why don't I go into the business? Okay, very quickly. Here we go. Showcase watches, £2. Wilsdorf, that's the founder of Rolex, Hans Wilsdorf, a German Brit. Marketing genius, still the case today, definitely.
Yeah.
But he didn't always have wins. Look at Cellini. You know, he tried.
The bubble
Okay,
back
I
is
tell you
better.
why I don't sell watches. Okay, number one, I got a lot of sponsors who sell watches. So, you know, they would be upset if I was also selling watches, okay? The next thing is, I got to tell you, I'm an enthusiast. So a businessman, they will sell something for a profit. As soon as someone offers you good money, it's gone. See, I love a lot of my watches, and I don't want to just sell it because I can't just replace it. You see what I'm saying?
It's
So,
an emotional investment.
yeah, so
And to start your
that means
business, you'd have to sell
you're
them,
not
right?
going to make the best decisions.
Yeah.
The next thing is, I don't have enough capital to run a proper watch business. I think realistically, you would need to have $250,000 to
But-
be able to buy enough stock. I don't
But
have
it's
anywhere near
incremental,
that
isn't it?
money.
It's
Sorry?
incremental. I mean, Theo and Harris Christian started with 10,000, right? I think he bought 10,000 worth of watches, and then
Well-
he sold those. And
Yeah, but that doesn't. I'm in Brisbane. Brisbane's a bit of a.
oh yeah, it's true. It's different than the U.S.
It's
Yeah, you're
hard.
right.
And then the last thing is, I'll tell you what stopped me doing this as well. Okay, so there's two other reasons. In Australia, if you're buying and selling watches as a business, you've really got to be registered for a VAT, a GST. So I don't really want to do that. Okay, I don't want to do that. That kind of.
Complicates your life unnecessarily.
It does. And then the last reason is, I tell you this, Jeff, I'm really concerned. I had a good friend, well, a guy I know, he was robbed at gunpoint. Okay? That's Harrington Antiques in Brisbane. He was robbed at gunpoint. I think you want to be very careful. Like now, what have I got? I got a Patek and a Reverso. I don't keep them all at home because
Yeah, didn't you
it's
hit someone with
dangerous.
your briefcase once? You hit.
Wow,
someone-
that was more just a bit of, that was just in Melbourne. They weren't trying to rob me. Well, they could have, but what
But
I'm trying to
still, yeah.
say is you got to be careful. The thing is this, if you set yourself up selling watches and that, I think they look for targets. These criminals that are out now, the other thing is too, you know how hard it is. I have sold things in the past. It's so hard. You've got to give a warranty on it. You've got to, customers are very, Jeff, you back me up on this. Customers are hard to deal with. You're selling a second-hand watch, man. It is hard because, it's not keeping time. It's not doing this.
Yeah.
Customers are very difficult. I don't want to deal with customers. I like to just, I don't want to, when you're in a retail business, you have to have a certain demeanor.
Yeah.
I'd rather be honest and say, man, I don't want to deal with you. Like when I've sold things, I remember some customers I've had, they're just really nasty, lowball. I say, look, man, if you are so concerned about $1,000, you really shouldn't be buying luxury goods.
Yeah.
And what's
Pay off your...
And you can, the margins on some of these watches, I mean, there'd be next to nothing in some, and you'd make on others. It's a
And
bit
the
of a
watch market now is
merry-go-round.
so toxic too. Did you see what happened to Uptick Watch Reviews with his Milgauss and his JLC?
Yes, I did. They were stolen. But he made a dumb mistake.
But still, you don't want to have to sell your watches and worry about all that stuff. It's such a hassle. Like the hassle that he had to go through to get.
And then he
those
had to
watches.
pay for them anyhow. He had to pay half. I can't believe that. That
You
was
had to
just...
pay the what's it called? The wholesale price that they paid for it.
Yeah, half of the wholesale. It's just ridiculous. I got to tell you, for me,
But speaking of
why
too
don't I
many
sell watches? I don't really... I like to keep... I think you've got to be careful. You're an enthusiast or a business. I find the whole selling watches, it's hard. Customers are difficult to deal with. Customers are difficult.
Super trap on it.
Yes, Yankee Doodle, $2. Every business is hard, not just the watch business. Very good point.
True.
Look, for me,
But the shipping
I'd rather make content. I prefer to make content because I make a video. it doesn't stop timing. It doesn't have issues. You know, I just make the vid. That's it. You know,
And it's your
when
own
you're
product,
selling
right?
watches, you're giving a warranty. Oh my God, this thing, customers are.
And I agree with you, Pona. Being in Australia, the market's maybe a bit too small for that. Because you already have established dealers, and there's so much headaches to go through, so many hoops to go through that. Yeah. And speaking of too many watches too, Uptick Watch Reviews. What do you think about his collection? Too many? Too little? That's
actually,
a lot of watches.
He's the French guy in Hong Kong. I really like him.
He's good.
He has a beautiful collection, but man,
I really do. He's got a Lange, the Lange annual calendar. He's got
Super
two
Chat.
Pateks. He's got the, here we go, Super Chat showcase watches. Pontiff pulls in 80k a year on YouTube. Why work? There we go. Thank you. Thank you. And look, I got to be honest with you. I prefer making vids. You got to decide what you do. You can't do everything. You cannot do everything. Selling watches itself, there's so many. I got to be honest with you. There's so many fraudsters and fakes and scams going there. The margins generally, I think the margins you're probably looking at between, I think about 10 to 15%. That's kind of the margin on watches.
Yeah.
And look, there's money. I know many dealers who do actually quite well. They do quite well. Do I want to do it? Not really. I did like selling. I do like selling, but the problem is I don't want to have premises. You know, Jeff, I don't want to have a rent a store. I don't want that. I don't want staff, right?
Yeah.
I just got a home office. I make content. I may not make the big bucks, but if I can survive and tour and do what I want. As soon as you get a retail premises, you become a slave to the landlord. I can't go and do things. I couldn't make videos because I'm always in the shop talking. Oh my God, I can't think of anything worse.
You do what makes you happy, providing you can, pay the bills. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I think the big thing is too, I'll tell you what happened to me. I was selling watches, this was 20 odd years ago. I had stuff stolen. I had FedEx stolen. I had EMS. You know what? I can't, it just happened at a bad time mentally. I think, oh my God, this is fraught with danger. You're making 10 to 20% margin and it can get stolen. They can bounce the payment. You think, oh, this is hard work. It's very hard work. And a lot of customers are awful to deal with. People are awful. They're uneducated. They don't understand. Like you deal with customers and they say, for example, I'll give you an example. They say to you, oh, I don't want a 5 year. They equate watches to cars. Like a car, 5-10 years old, it's shit, right? Like, I mean, it's sort of half-life. But a watch, a 5-year-old Rolex isn't really, you know what I mean? That's just run in. You know what I mean, Jeff? Like people say, oh, it's 5 years old, it's too old. I only want 2 years old. You think, well, where do you get? You don't normally get 2-year-old watches coming up much. Most of them are like 20 years old. You know, it's sort of, here we go. Stan the man, $2. Stan the man. Arch needs 80k just for groceries and lady boys. Thank you. And showcase watches here. Showcase watches. Why work when luxury to last brings in big bucks?
David SW. David SW.
And David, look, Mr. 2, $3. Here's my long-term 24-hour friend Jeff. G'day.
G'day, Mr. 2.
Look, Jeff, I think myself, in the watch business itself, it's just hard. It's very hard. You got uneducated buyers. People, they say, why is it? Oh my God, I see it now. I've gone in. I went to Vintage Watch Co. the other day. I was chatting to Ronnie, this Chinese lady, real nasty look. She comes in. You have this? She has her iPhone. You have this? You have this? Hey, hang on a minute. So it must have been a Panda or Aquanaut or a Nautilus. And he says, "Oh,
you get that with every industry. I mean, whether it's watches, cars, real estate, shoes. I mean, it's the same thing.
These people think that you're talking to a dealer. They think that the dealer doesn't know what the true value of this. They're trying to.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. They thought Australia is full of Gumbies who they have all this stuff available cheap. You have this. It's just you see it all the time. Could you imagine having a Rolex dealership? Every wanker who comes in, I want a Panda, I want a Sub, I want a Pepsi, I want a Batman. I'm here to buy a Batman.
And then people say, "Well, you advertise it. Why can't I buy it?" They don't.
They get aggressive.
Yeah.
They get, "Oh, when can I get it? I'll put the money down now." It's very.
But Archie, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he said that a lot of the car manufacturers have now got waiting lists. That we never had waiting lists for some, well, particularly the prestige cars. They're 2 and 3 and 6 months to get a car. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they've been very clever. I think it's honestly rigged. My old man, he got a C200, brand new. This was 2.5 years ago, 58,000. Okay, it was just white. It wasn't metallic. It was just the basic C, which is still a very nice car.
Yep.
The model's being phased out next year. If you want to buy one now, they're 74,000. No discount now. There is no haggling. No, the whole market has changed.
Yeah.
This is the reality. Is that the way watches are now? It's just, this market is artificial, and I couldn't think of anything worse than selling to people who have no idea,
His AC2 might get his money back for the car.
He loves his Mercedes. But what does he buy instead? See, what do you do instead?
Yeah.
You're going to buy a Mazda 6 at retail? Everything.
Listen to this comment by a viewer. Okay, he said Paul Thorpe's teeth are worth more than Panerai and entry level Porsche. That's a good one.
That's a very cool one there. Yeah. I got to tell you seriously, the whole watch. Sometimes in life, I like my watches. I love my watches. I think all of you guys love your watches.
Yep.
I don't know if you'd really want to sell them. I think if you start selling the things you love, it's not really your hobby. Like okay, if you wanted to sell your watches, Jeff, oh my God, there are some really, let's be honest, Jeff, in Melbourne, you've got people who do armed house robberies. So could you imagine if you started advertising you had these watches, you could get home invasion. They do carjackings.
But you would keep it in a bank safe. You don't keep it at home, Archie.
Well, no, but these people,
they find ways. Yeah, they find ways.
They and occasionally you might take a few home extra, and it's really quite. Melbourne isn't safe like it used to be. Melbourne can be quite dangerous, and this is the thing. You've got high value things. These people, they're not nice. They're very. It's an awful time. You know.
Can I just ask you to put the link in the chat again? Because Brian BK switched to his PC, so.
Okay. We'll whack that in there now. Yeah, thank you. No worry. He's a good guy. Jeff, I mean seriously, in Melbourne, Melbourne's not as safe as it used to be. Like there's some really. People have been followed in their luxury car, then they get carjacked. It's very.
Doesn't have to be a luxury car. Someone I know got carjacked and they were driving a 10-year-old Mazda. I mean, it's just, but the world's changed. It's not what it used to be. And
how were they carjacked? What happened? Tell me the story, Jeff. What happened?
Oh, they pulled up at the lights and they made out that he had a flat tyre or something wrong with the back of his car. Then they jumped out and he put his window down and they punched him through the window and dragged him out of the car. So, I mean, these things happen. So you just got to be careful with wherever you are nowadays.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for letting me back in.
No worries there. We're just talking about watches and why I don't really want to be a dealer. And look, I think that the big thing is for me, I think if you're going to do it as a business, you can't be in love with your stock. If you're in love with your stock, it's not going to go well. And I got to be honest with you, the things that I like may not be the most popular. You know, if I like my Pateks, I got to be honest with you, Vintage Watch Co, he's got that one Calatrava. It's the only Calatrava automatic with date for sale in Australia under 30 grand. It hasn't sold yet.
It looks good on the site, Arch. I mean, if you're in the market for something like that, you'd have to buy it. Yeah.
I mean, I thought that's a reasonably priced. No, he'd probably take a 800, you know, make it 24 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's you know, I like that stuff. It's probably not super. The problem is, where do you get Steel Sports? Steel Sports. You want Steel Sports. You know, it's impossible to get.
Pay the piper.
Here's an example, Jeff. I was talking to a dealer last week. So a customer rings up, says, I got a two-tone Daytona white dial, brand new, okay? Which means he's probably had it for a couple of months, okay? Retail is low 20s in Australia. He wanted 36 for it. Now, they sell on the secondary market through a dealer a smidgen over retail. That's what they sell for. So the dealer, he would offer a little bit under retail because he makes about, say, he makes 15%. That's what they'd sell it for. And you know what? He wanted 36,000 for it. He wanted ridiculous figures. And, you know, I got to be honest with you, it's to get stock, it's because of COVID, a lot of dealers used to get stock from Hong Kong and Singapore. You can't go on a plane now. Where can you go?
Yeah, that's right.
Where do you get stock? And the other thing is that I got to be honest with you there. In Melbourne, I'd be very careful. You don't want to have a lot of stuff. You know, these things are very. It can be dangerous. There's a guy was robbed in Brisbane. I thought, oh my God, that is just so. Who wants a shotgun in their face? I mean, I'm too old for that nonsense.
Hey, Arch, I got a question for you. You guys were talking about bank safes, right? Putting your watches.
Yes.
How do you feel about that with the COVID crisis going on and them shutting down the banks due to lockdowns and stuff like that? You still feel it's safe?
Look, nothing is 100% safe. Okay, there are bank safes in London that have been robbed. People have burrowed in and cleaned them all out. There is nothing 100% safe. Okay, nothing is 100%. However, let me say this. Generally speaking, I think the level of safety is much better in a bank safe than it is at home. Even if you have a fancy-wancy safe at home, if someone turns up with a shotgun and says, I'm going to shoot you, you would open the safe. So I don't even want the watches at home. Do you see what I mean? I don't want them here, right? Yeah. I have one watch, two at most.
Super chat,
Mr. Grand 599, £2. Kick AP out, Holy Trinity, third place to JLC or Lange. Now the problem is the Holy Trinity has to be Swiss.
Yeah.
It can't be.
And JLC makes too many steel watches.
JLC, I don't think JLC. Look, I love JLC. I just don't think they're quite up to par with Patek but AP. I kind of think AP. I don't hate AP. I think they're very, very delicate. JLC makes a lot of movements for AP.
That's
so
true.
AP then finishes them even more. But
don't they own Renault and Poppy now? So they get their movements from there?
Well, they can, but a lot of their traditional line has been through AP. They've
through JLC.
Yeah. But I got to tell you guys, seriously, talking about bank safes and that, look, in all honesty, I've got them at the Commonwealth Bank. It's a government-owned bank. Well, government is a major shareholder in the Commonwealth Bank. Look, who knows? Nothing is 100%. We never really had big COVID lockdowns here, but that doesn't mean people can just walk in and take your stuff. They're in the safe. They're in the safe. I mean, I've actually got a safety deposit box in Singapore. And that's, well, I can't go there. Well, that's safe as well. That's a box there. So I'm not really worried about the bank safes. Nothing. You see that Twin Towers? There were bank safes in the bottom of Twin Towers. Everything got squashed and damaged and burnt. And look,
I was there.
What can you do?
I live in New York. I was about 15 minutes away.
Oh.
And what did you think about it? It was just an absolute
crazy. We thought
crazy.
the world was ending. You know.
Did you feel it when they fell? The buildings fell. Did you feel it?
Yeah. We smelled it. We felt it. Everything. You know, you could see the dust, the paper in the air. I was driving on the highway, and papers from the office buildings were floating in the air, like, you know, loose pieces of paper.
Yeah.
It was wild. We didn't know what was going on, though. We thought the whole, you know, country was under attack at the time.
And was there a lot of dust? Must have massive dust.
Yeah, there was debris, even like in my backyard of my house at the time. Was not far from there, and you know, there was papers landing in people's yards and stuff. It was wild.
Any money? Those towers are full of money. Any money?
No money. No
money. Bearer bonds. I wanted bearer bonds. You know.
No, nothing good. Nothing good, unfortunately. I think you know, whoever knocked them down, I think maybe they might have cleared out the money beforehand. You know.
I got to tell you, seriously, nothing is 100%. You know, nothing is ever 100%. But
hey,
what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Do you ever miss the pieces? Like, do you go visit them? Like, how does that work? Because I don't think I could be separated from my collection for a while. It sounds like a weird thing to say aloud, but there's a lot of emotional investment there, right?
But the problem is, say I got a couple at home, I won't leave the house because I don't want to leave them by themselves.
That's fair. That's fair.
They become a real pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So what do you do then? So you go into a restaurant. Do you take your watches with you, or do you leave them at home? And then you worry.
Yeah.
Then you worry. You know, the only time I really have peace of mind is when they are in the bank.
Got it.
Okay. Last year I went to Christmas. I had a few out. I had to take them with me. So it's just, I got to be honest with you. You do miss them. It's funny, you know, like I would love to get them out now. I'd love to. I'm thinking about getting the World Time out for Christmas. Right?
You've got to plan it, don't you? You've got to actually plan what you want to do rather than just waking up in the morning and deciding, which one I want to wear. Yeah.
It's a process.
I only get so many accesses a year, so otherwise
you've
got to pay $12. Look, I got to tell you, sometimes you really get reunited with them when you say, that's mine there. You know, that's...
It's like a long-distance relationship.
I was thinking that, like, planning it out, at least you'll use them, you know, you'll wear them a certain amount of time, you know, like you said, reconnect with each piece. Sometimes when they're sitting in your box in your house, you kind of neglect a few, you know, you don't wear them for a while.
It's kind of funny. I think... But I mean, the thing is this: I don't want them at home because you're a target, right? People could, you know, I mean, if you lost them, it's very. I think that'd be the end of the hobby if they were stolen and you didn't have insurance. That'd be the end of your hobby. You just would never go back there.
I have insurance on mine just in case. I mean, even for like going on vacation or something, if you lose it, at least you're covered, you know.
Look, it's a really tricky thing. I tend to think I get a lot of joy out of having I tell you what I do like looking at is I have a photo of my watches, which I actually look at this photo so much. I actually enjoy having a look. I probably enjoy them more than them being on the corner table here because I don't want them to get. You know, I enjoy just little. Yeah.
Have you got photos of your kids as much as your watches, or?
I got photos of inside. That's
But that's a studio. That's a studio.
yeah.
I might have to get you a frame for that, Arch.
You know, I've actually got a photo here. I'll show you. When I got rid of my annual calendar because I sold it because of personal reasons. Have a look. See over there.
Yeah.
You can see that it's framed in the gold frame.
In memoriam.
See that there? And that portrait on the wall, that's my Reverso. Someone painted that.
That's
and
cool.
the new curtains.
That's cool.
That's the new curtains. Yes, new curtains. Look at this. New curtains. Blue. 1960s blue.
Yep.
So I got to tell you, I do like the pictures of them.
Are there any you regret selling? That you look back on, you're like, I wish I didn't sell those?
There's always look. It's like anything in life. You know, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to get more philosophical. Mr. 2, $8. We'll come back to that question. $8. Arch, I think of you as a portly Batman, and the lawyer is the Penguin. The Tootberg is the Joker. No, fat man. Okay, thank you. Do I regret selling? Look, there's always regrets. I got to tell you honestly, it's why I say to you, don't be flipping and trading. You know, the biggest thing for me is I got pieces that I never thought I'd have. To have my Patek collection is amazing. They're a bit soft. They are a bit soft. Like I got out of Rolexes. If you look at it from a financial view, you could say some of the Rolexes have done better than the Pateks have done. Do I regret? I gotta tell you, you gotta regret what you didn't do instead of what you did do.
That's exactly right.
You know, I think in many ways, Mr. Hollow Mutton, Mr. Mutton Hollow, $5. Loving the new format. Keep up the good work, AC3 and friends. Thank you, Mr. Hollow. Do I regret? Of course there's regrets. You know, I had so many vintage Rolex. I think the thing is this. What stops the regrets is I got better stuff. Like in my mind, I can remember being in a swimming pool in 2004 thinking, what would I do if I won the lotto? And I remember saying to myself, you know, I'd like one of those world times. I wanted a world time. And I got one. I got an annual calendar. I got some absolutely gorgeous pieces, which I kind of traded into. Do I have regrets? Look, I tell you honestly, my best advice is for any normal person out there, don't flip in and flip out. I would just buy a nice piece, keep it. You know, when I got the 1016, that was a dog. That was one of the last models to get the sapphire glass, so people didn't like the plastic. It was a dog, wasn't popular. It was always a bit weird, you know, it was never cool like a Datejust. It didn't have the big coronet in the middle. I remember showcase watches, £2. Arch loves his Pateks. That makes a collector cool. Thank you. Yeah. I gotta tell you, when I had I just went with the flow. That watch came to me, like I asked a friend of mine, get me the Rolex, cheapest Rolex you can get at wholesale. He got it, right? I wasn't really fussy. I think sometimes people now spend too much time analyzing it too much. Look, the best thing you could do is buy one, keep it. Like Marco, you got a Pam, keep your Pam. Don't flip it, don't sell it, keep it. Get a Speedy, get a Tudor, get a Rolex, then just hold. Don't flip, keep churning. I think that's the best thing. The thing is this, I churned so many watches over. If I hadn't churned, I would never have had the experience of so many watches. You know, at the end of the day, Jeff, let me say this to you. Like, I had a BMW I bought in 91. That car is landfill now. You know, I can't, you know what I mean? It's gone, right? Yeah. But it's the memory of picking it up.
Yep.
You know, it's the memory of driving it. You know, I can remember a lot of these things, what is any of these things? We are only here. How long we live? 80 years if we're lucky. 80, 85. I mean, how long do we live for?
It's the memories of your life, Arch, and you'll always forget that, and you'll take your memories to the grave, and your experiences, good, bad, the ugly, whatever, you know, it's all there, you know. So,
I really wish I could take my stuff with me. But I mean, as far as regrets go, do I regret? Look, I do a bit. In some ways, I look at this photo and say, right, I wish I still had, like, I got to tell you the truth. The Daytona, I don't really miss. Okay, that's okay. It's gone. Because it was two-tony. I don't need that. The Submariner, I didn't like the clasp. Okay? So I look back and say, what would I really miss there? You know, I tell you honestly, I'd say, well, I really liked the Explorer 1. That was a great watch. I liked the Milgauss. That was a great watch. Those two are probably good. Milgauss, Explorer 1 and Explorer 2. That's probably, you know, the one I had for a long time. And maybe my Speedy. Now, that's not the most valuable watches, but I miss those because they could be really useful. Now, the thing is, I got amazing stuff. I had to sell the other stuff to pay for it. I don't have unlimited money.
No.
And Sean W, $2.79. Here we go. Jeff, what did you wear before your recent Rolexes?
The most recent were tags, and it was a tag Aqua Racer and a Formula One. And
Okay.
I realised I didn't want those going forward, so I did sell them, and it went into buying the Batgirl. So they were the most recent. And prior to
How
that,
did you
it was
sell them?
Longines.
Gumtree, eBay, or how did you?
Facebook.
Facebook. Okay, excellent.
Yeah, you know, and a bit of,
Excellent.
as you say, I mean, it's always a bit of a gamble dealing with whoever turns up. But
Yeah,
you
no, that's okay.
do your
You sold them, you got your
qualification,
money,
sold
got
them,
some money, that's it.
got some money and moved on. That's right.
And Facebook actually
D-
gives you more transparency into the buyer than a normal
Correct.
medium
right.
would. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very
DP,
true.
$5. We're only immortal for a limited time. Quote, Neil Peart, Rush, rest in peace. That's the famous drummer, I think, Neil Peart. That was the drummer. He did die there. And I think he had interestingly enough, he had a Patek 5107, which there was a Houdinki article on Neil Peart. He had a 5107 which we lost it, then he got it back again. It's a long story because he came off his motorbike, and it's a long story. Jaden V, $5. Loudmouth Tim is in the chat. Send him a link. We'll get him on. We'll get Loudmouth Tim on. We're just probably not the right mix at the moment, but he's cool. I got to tell you, regrets with watches. You know what? I think you got to regret. You got to honestly, I honestly think sometimes people put too much pressure on. If you got to put yourself into financial difficulty, I think the biggest regrets you should really do is being debt free, living better.
Dave Ramsey.
You gotta pay a bit off. You can't just charge. A lot of people go overboard. You know, you got to be a bit careful. I think watches is a great thing. Instead of buying expensive designer clothing, expensive garbage, put money into watches because it does hold. It holds. So I think just be a bit more sensible. The thing, regrets. Look. You can have a lot of regrets. I got to say, I've enjoyed a lot of travel. Travel has been great. That's something, you look back on your life, right? And it's not really the material goods that make you happy. It's more the experiences. And even the material goods, it's the experience of that material good.
That's right.
More so than
when you wear them.
Exact. Mr. 2, $8. $8. I wish I had the careless, forgetful, lazy, half-darsed, short attention span of the great Archie. I could also cruise through life and buy identical things. Thank you, Mr. 2.
Very good.
Hey, Arch, what do
I
you
gotta
think?
say, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, what do you think? I've all my cards are cleared off, and I've been getting itchy. I'm gonna be in a location on Monday near a dealer I haven't been in a while. You think I should go in and ask for a Milgauss? I'm thinking about trying to get a Z Blue, maybe.
Hey, if you can get one of those, go for it. But it's very hard, man. It's very. Don't buy other garbage. You got to be careful with the dealer rules there. I have so many people say, "Oh, I'll buy this. I'll buy some." There are people who are far richer who buy a lot of garbage to get the good stuff. It's a bit like a gambler. They talk about what they have bought at retail, but they don't mention the other garbage which is unsellable. You know.
Well,
Showcase watches, £2. Arch, what's the next hype brand after Rolex? Man, that's a good question. You know what? I seriously think
Patek
Rolex may not lose this. Because what happened, if you look at the previous hype brands, Panerai, they were greedy, they did the wrong thing, and they fiked it up. And I actually think Rolex may hold this for a lot longer than we think. So I think, oh, he's gone. He's gone. Jeff's gone. Hey, Jeff, thank you for coming on, Jeff. We love you. I gotta tell you, seriously, I think hyped brands, these things here, what else? There was rumors it was going to be Omega. Omega was getting high, and vintage Hoyas. Vintage Hoyas were going strong. They seem to have come back a bit.
Is everybody reliving their youth, Arch? They're reliving their youth, buying some vintage Tag Heuers?
Look, I gotta tell you, man, I think a lot of the Tag Heuers, they helped a lot of people get into the industry. You know, people wouldn't have really gotten into it.
Ponif.
Yes.
There's also the Steve McQueen auction, right, where they're auctioning off his Monaco and his personal, what's it called, Paul Newman Daytona.
Yes, that's
right?
going to be.
There's another Paul Newman auction, I think, this week.
Big bucks, big bucks, big buck. Here we go, Mr. Two, $3. Arch, your honest opinion of the Loudmouth Tim channel. Honest. Look, he's a great guy. I never understood why he never had huge YouTube success. He had his own. He had it, even before YouTube. He used to do stuff, and it's Loudmouth Tim should have had so much. He's a good, honest American guy. I actually do like him. He's a nice, down to earth. He tries hard. He's quite uplifting. I quite like the guy. I love him because he's always got a positive. He's conservative. I've become more conservative. I used to be more left-wing in my younger days. As I'm aging, I tend to, my politics has gone more conservative. I hate both sides, to be honest with you. But I really do like Loudmouth. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. You know, he's just, yes.
I spoke to a professor once, and I had to agree with him. He said, in your youth, you're more left because you trust the government. You have this ideal worldview, but in your older age, you want to keep more, so you trust the government a lot less.
Very true. It's very true. It's very true. Guys, I'm going to wrap this up. We had a great show today. This was a good show. Talking watches. How many do you need? How many do you need? Showcase watches, £2. If you like wet wipes, you'll love Loudmouth Tim channel. Guys, it's been great having you. How many watches? I'd say, you know, the best number I think would probably be about seven or 8.
I think 5.
5? Brian, how many is the best number to have?
I'm in a weird place because I feel like I'm collecting collections at this point, where I'm looking at different brands and what I want to pick up from those brands. So I have my Rolex collection at the 5, and now I want to move into Patek and probably pick up, 3 to 5 there. So I have enough runway because I'm 32 that I have the luxury of building over time. I'm sure I'll regret it when I'm 50.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
Brian, did you know that on Vintage Watch Co. there's a beautiful 5127? It's a bargain deal.
It looks beautiful up there. It really does. Great pictures.
And JJ Lacoute, how many is the perfect number?
Oh, I'm going to say, I think about this a lot, and I know you're probably going to think it's too many, but I say between 10 and 12 is where I'm at.
Yeah, I can completely get that.
I have 6 now, and I could easily think of 4 to 6 more that I would want.
Yeah, I go 10 to 15.
Yeah, I got to tell you there. It's I think sometimes it's. I got to be honest with you. I'm really happy I got some Pateks. I never thought I could get this stuff. This stuff is super expensive. I never could buy new.
You know, every time I try to save up, I wind up buying another Rolex or something. I keep trying to save up
Rolex.
for these. Yeah, but I really want a 5205G.
That's a beautiful watch.
So then
Big
don't get
money.
a Z Blue. Don't get a Z Blue then.
You know, that's what I keep saying to myself every time. You know, let's say it's about 30,000 or so.
Can I
Every
tell you
time-
the most weirdest thing? Okay? You never actually are happy. Like, I look at my watches now, you start to lose confidence. You think, oh, nobody wants these Pateks. It's always your inner self. You start questioning yourself. You know, when I had the Rolexes, I was never happy. They're never going to be that valuable. They're never this, never that. I got the Pateks. I'm never quite happy with them. You're never really that 100% happy. Like I honestly, I got into the Pateks and I thought, that's it. This is it. You made it. And I thought, you know what? I really desperately want a Steel Sports Rolex, and I can't get it. I can't. ADs won't sell me one. Secondary market, they're expensive.
Well, you know,
I've got one. I
we're
may
better-
have that. I may
Go
have
ahead.
that date coming. I got that date. You know, Rolex Submariner date. He's going to sell it to me. That could be a deal. But you're never really happy. I got to be totally honest with you. I think for me, seriously, I got the 5. I wish I could keep those 5. I got my Reverso. If I got that sub, I'd
But
be
Connor,
happy.
you're talking about getting the Explorer 2 now.
Yeah. You get greedy. You get very greedy, man. You get greedy, but I tell you what. You know what? There's a lot of worse things you could buy than watches. You know.
There's nothing wrong with having a sub, a GMT, and a chronograph either. You know.
Exactly.
But as soon as you're happy with it, what do you talk about?
No, but I think you can, once you get to a certain level, you can play a little bit, but you
That's
got
fair.
your core. You don't
Yeah.
sell your core.
Your backbone. Yeah.
Mr. 2, $3. Upvotes, only ranchers like downvotes. Thank you. We're going to wrap it up. See you tomorrow. No show tomorrow. I'm going to Melbourne I'm going down to Melbourne to see. I booked this before the sub date came in. Okay, I booked it before the sub date, so I'm going down to Melbourne to see if I can get a Rolex Steel Sports for Christmas. I'll buy it anyhow. If I can get it, I will take anything.
The credit card is paid off. Now we have to
It paid off. I will
Now we have to
gladly.
match it.
I will buy it. Aladdin Clark, $5. Happiness comes from young women, not watches. Okay, guys. See you tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow.